Finish his CC, and we're going to give you a special prize for that. In fact, next week I'm going to bring some stuff for everybody. But Carl, you go for it.
Okay. So I have a mission this evening, and I guess hopefully by the end of our discussion, I will be able to elicit you all to use the word yes all of the time. The power of yes. I always say, use yes because no will stop your flow. Flow, I break down into an acronym, and the acronym is faith, love, optimism, and wisdom. If we live in flow, we always know that yes is the correct answer. I went to a lecture when I was 22 years old, and I watched a lady who I met for the first time. I was in Palm Springs. Her name is Mickey Williams, who's become one of my very best friends and is one of the greatest speakers that I know. If you get a chance, check her out. MickeyWilliams.com. I'm sure that you will be so happy that you did. And Mickey used a quote, and the quote basically said, if someone offers you an amazing opportunity, say yes first, and be the first to say yes. And I listened to that lecture and I thought, well, it sounds good in theory, but how well will this thing work? And I left Palm Springs, I went back to San Francisco, and I was very young in my career. And I got a phone call from Gold's Gym. And Gold's Gym said, we're looking for an area director. And I said, an area director for what? Because I don't know if you know Gold's Gym, but in the 80s, Gold's Gym was a musclehead gym. They had no fitness other than basic weightlifting. And they said that they wanted to incorporate aerobics and fitness in with the weightlifting. And they were putting a whole new project together. So they called me down to LA, and I sat down with a group of probably 8 or 9, the biggest men I've ever seen in my life. They were just huge. And they were all like, "Grr!" And I was like, okay, and I was so skinny and so small. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. And they asked me if I would be the area director for their aerobics program. And I'll never forget it because I sat there with these huge guys, and they said to me, if this doesn't work, you see that room in there, because they were building an aerobics room, so we're going to use that as your tomb. And I said, okay, I said yes. I would just had gone to the lecture, it said use yes, I said yes. So I said yes. And it turned out to be one of the most amazing things that I've ever done in my entire career. I started with one gym. We went from one gym to 2 in 1 year. In 3 years, we had 3 gyms. In 4 years, we had 4 gyms. In the 5 years that I was there, I went to practically every Gold's Gym in the United States and trained their aerobic directors and their aerobic instructors. And that was from just using the power of yes. My next big yes was probably Germany. I was sitting at home one day thinking, you know, I just really need a change, but I don't know what to do. And the fax machine went off. So I went and I grabbed the fax and I picked it up, and it said, QVC Germany is looking for a host, and you must speak German. Up until that point, the only word I knew in German was Gesundheit. But you know what I did? I took that fax and I answered yes. I answered yes, and then I went and got a bunch of books and a bunch of tapes, and I sat there and I listened and I listened and I listened, and I got all the way through the interview process, and they hired me. So off I go from San Diego to Dusseldorf, Germany, to sell fitness products on QVC, and it was probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done. And a lot of times the funny part would be, they would give me the lines they wanted me to say in German. But a lot of times when the host asked me the questions, they wouldn't ask me the questions in the same order as I got the answers. But because I didn't know what the question was, I just gave my canned answer. But it became such a phenomenon on QVC because people thought it was funny. So what was supposed to be a 6-month job ended up being 6 years. 6 years I stayed and I did that job just from saying one yes. I came back to the United States and I thought, okay, now what do I do? And I was really interested in hip hop dance, so I was really studying dance, but I had never formally taken a dance class, didn't go to school to actually learn dance. just was curious. And I got a phone call from Japan. And in Japan, the people said, "Hello, sir." They said, "We're putting on a show, and we need someone to choreograph a piece." Now, this was 1998. So $6,000 they offered me to do this 3-month engagement. And I said yes. And then what I did was I went out and I took every dance class that I could. I was jumping and kicking and swinging and throwing myself down on the floor and up and down until I got it. But I made it to Japan, and I ended up living there for 6 months, just using one yes. This week, I got something pretty cool in the mail. And my job this week was to show things, but because television wasn't so great. Sarcoidosis, who knows what sarcoidosis is? I didn't either. And I'm gonna pass this around. Sarcoidosis is a disease of the immune system. I had no idea what sarcoidosis was. I got a phone call and they said, "We need someone to come onto our new television show, Sarcoidosis Today, and talk about exercise and sarcoidosis." So I went and I grabbed Google and I figured out what sarcoidosis was, and I said, "Yes, I'll be there." And 2 days later I went on, did the piece, and they loved me so much that they asked me, "You know, we're gonna put together our very first Sarcoidosis Today magazine, and we want an article about exercise and sarcoidosis." And you know what I did? I created an exercise program for them using Tai Chi, because sarcoidosis 90% of the time affects people in their lungs. So what better way for me to share with them than to get them to breathe and breathe well? So what I want to say to you this evening is, whenever a situation arises, use the power of yes, because no will always stop your flow. Thank you for listening. Thank you, sir.
There's a YouTube, if you want to check Carl Powell's interview on this subject. He's being interviewed. There's, I think, 3 people. I watched it. I didn't know what sarcoidosis was until I was watching it. And Carl